Dun dun dun. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Technical Solutions. Hope that you guys are all having an amazing Tuesday. What everyone is talking about right now is the government shutdown. Should you be scared? Should you sell everything? Very simple answer, no. A lot of you guys appreciated the video that I shared yesterday because it wasn't just my opinion. I like showing the data. I like showing, statistically speaking, what tends to happen. And it's not because what has happened in the past before has to happen in the future. It's just patterns tend to repeat themselves, especially for us, either traders or investors in the stock market. This is useful data so we can make more informed and more calculated decisions, hopefully less impulsive. So again, if you would like to see more videos like this, all I literally ask you to do is show some support, drop a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, as I would love to keep you guys up to date. Now, does this mean that markets cannot show some form of volatility due to the government shutdown? No, well, of course not, right? I mean, if government does shut down leading up to it, there should be some short-term pain, right? Maybe the market sells off a little bit. Who cares, right? You guys, first off, where do I stand in this? I believe markets are incredibly overvalued. I think that there's a complete disconnect between where the stock market's current valuation is to how our economy is actually doing. I think our economy is actually doing quite bad in the sense of inflation is beginning to pick up against the Federal Reserve's mandate. The job market is beginning to slow down, and the Federal Reserve is in a pickle, right? Because if they continue to aggressively cut interest rates, it's going to be inflationary for inflation. But if they don't do anything about cutting rates, then what's going to happen to the labor market? With that being said, it's also very expensive to be able to buy a home, rent a home, and all that, right? With that being said, yes, I want markets to drop, but statistically speaking, this just doesn't seem to be the trigger. So there's no reason to spread panic if panic isn't what normally happens with government shutdowns. So let's jump right into it. So NASDAQ market, yes, it's slightly in the red, but who cares? Markets have been incredibly bullish. If you look at the larger time frame, look at this. We have been showing signs of higher highs and higher lows. Markets are strong. I mean, Nvidia today became one of the most valuable company that's publicly traded, the first company to ever hit a $4.5 trillion market cap. Now, do I believe that it's going to hold up there for a long period of time? Well, no, not necessarily. I think Nvidia is one of the greatest investments I've ever made. With that being said, I think markets are incredibly overvalued and due for retracement, but it needs a trigger. And I really don't think that the government shutdown is going to be it. Markets are incredibly bullish. So even if the market does pull back a little bit, remember, the only people that freak out are those that did not prepare. Just make sure that you're not over leveraged at these overbought levels. That's all, right? You should have some cash on the sidelines always available. And if you don't, maybe something to prepare for, that if markets do retrace, you're able to buy and take advantage of those dip buy opportunities. That's the best way that we put it. And that's always our encouragement for the beginners that are part of LPP. I want to show you the data. This is what I think is most important. When you take into consideration the most recent government shutdowns, the date that they reopened, the duration, the length of the days, right? On average, it's 8.2 days. So you can see that some have been up to 34 days, some have been 11 days. And yes, in the short term, there is some pullbacks, but as you can see, on average, the recovery, is a 0.3%, or the median is a 0.1%. So, and when you look at it after 12 months, this is why I wanted to share the data. A 12.7% gain, a 12.3% median is what we tend to see 12 months after. That's, of course, after a significant rally. Now, markets have already rallied, so I'm not here to say that 12% is coming shortly after for the S&P 500. That would actually be quite crazy. And then for those that care, that like to make it political, there's the Republican and the Democrat approach of, who controls the presidency, the Senate, and the House. It looks like Trump has already had 3 government shutdowns within his first term, and then we will see if it continues to happen moving forward. So what does this tell us? This tells us that statistically speaking, other than these few one-off scenarios, 2018 with a 7.1% retracement, 1983, a 0.4% retracement, or 1976, a 6.6% retracement. Other than those 3 scenarios, market has always ended in the green after 12 months. So why do I care to share this with you? even if there is short-term pain. Just like I said in the start of this video, you should not be over leveraged at overbought levels. You should always have cash or cash available at the sidelines at these overbought levels, that if pullbacks do happen, if you're so incredibly bullish, to be able to take advantage of those dip buy opportunities. If you put yourself in a stressful position that markets pull back 1 or 2% and you're freaking out, that's your fault. That's your inability to be able to control position size. No one else, right? It's important to look at this data and to understand that, hey, this is what has happened in the past before. And statistically speaking, they are saying that there's about a 74% probability that the government will shut down in less than, as of right now, like 16 to 18 hours, because it has to happen by tonight if they do not compromise. So again, is it the end of the world? No, but could there be some short-term pain? Probably, but that's all it is. It's just short-term, right? So one of two things. If you're someone that's looking to short the market, cool, right? I plan to short it. If markets do end up retracing, I will not carry any of those shorts overnight. It's incredibly risky. Markets are more bullish than bearish. Looking at the statistics, markets always end up recovering. And because of that, it makes no sense to get greedy. Markets and overall market direction is still incredibly bullish. We must respect that. I shouldn't be afraid to take advantage of a short if direction and sentiment is in my favor for those short period of times, but that's all it is. It's just the trade versus an actual investment. Now, when markets do begin to find a bottom and if markets do begin to recover, then that can be an exciting time to possibly go long. Shorting is not meant for beginners, so please do not just start to short just because you can't go long, right? Stay patient, focus for your criteria to be met, and ignore the rest of the noise. Just make sure that you can tolerate the time that it might take for markets to recover, as they always tend to, as they more often, 86.4% probability, or 86.4% of the time, they end up recovering in the green after 12 months. All you need to do is make sure you're not over leveraged so you don't get margin called. That's so simple, right? Literally so simple. I don't want to spread panic. I don't want to discourage you from not trading or not investing. It's just be mindful of your position size and your exposure, right? So it says the U.S. government is potentially going to shut down in less than 18 hours as Democrats and Republicans are deadlocked to fund government spending. 54% of the time the stock market goes up during the shutdown and 46% of the time they go down. But 12 months later, markets are positive 86.4% of the time with an average gain of 12.7%. I just think it's important to look at the data. It's not just my opinion, other people's opinion. It's good to have your own opinion, but it's also good to look at the data so you can make a more informed decision. So very excited to follow up. Again, I'm going to make sure that I do my part in keeping you guys up to date. I'm working very closely right now with our LPP team. They just got to see me trade live in the morning. And again, I would love to invite you. If you're trying to get more plugged in, if you are someone that is just getting started in the stock market, again, we have a full beginner tutorial, A to Z video lesson library, and you also get access to my daily live trading session with LPP 3.0. So if you ever want to watch me trade live starting tomorrow, again, it's the second link in the description down below, and this would be a great time to get involved so we can start the new month together with those daily live sessions. Also, do not forget to check out Investing Pro is having a sale right now that might end at the end of the month. If you guys want to check it out, that's the first link in the description down below. Appreciate your time. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.